Yo, welcome back. This is MDawg. Hey, first of all, we got to do this first. I haven't gotten to really hang out with you guys since Go Braves 2021 World Series champions. Welcome to what I hope is our newest leveling guide. Man, I'm always so iffy when I start these things because it's like, I feel like once I started, I want to stick with it for a while, so it feels kind of heavy. Like, all right, we got to set our course. Welcome to Russian Fishing 4. I made some coffee. It's almost like I'm streaming or something, but whatever. We're going to start this leveling guide. So this is going to be 2020/2021 because I'm hoping that we will stick with it. I mean, it's December 11th, 2020, right? No. 2021, 2022. What year is it? It's December 11th, 2021. We're hoping that this leveling guide will take us into 2022. We'll see. Are there going to be some like fun things to do in the Christmas fair that should be starting here in a couple weeks, right? Right around Christmas time, we usually get the Christmas fair. We'll see. But anyway, if you're finding this video, my name is MDawg, and or at least that's what they call me on the internet. It's not what my mom named. My mom didn't give me that name, but you know how it goes. And we're gonna go through a new leveling guide. One thing I did want to say, and I'm going to try to remember to post this since this is the first episode of this leveling guide. Theoretically, it'll be the most viewed episode. So right off the top, I wanted to talk about some resources. I'm going to try to post a link to my Discord. And I only say my Discord because I started it. I mean, at this point, it's so many other people do so much more things on the Discord than I do. But the bottom line is, if you're new to RF4, and you like Discord, this is a good place to come hang out. Lots of good spots, good conversations, a little bit of content about like other stuff like The Hunter, Call of the Wild, a couple other fishing games, but mostly 95% of the Discord channel really revolves around Russian Fishing 4. I will also post a link to the VK site, which is a website. I believe it's a Russian, basically like a Facebook, right? Here, I'm gonna show you what it looks like real quick. And when you think about resources for this game, at least the one that I use the most is this one. So while we're playing through this leveling guide, I'll probably talk about, I saw this site on the VK, I saw this spot on the VK site. So if you really get into this game, like this might be a little overwhelming to start looking at from day one. But once you get into it and you're really trying to see like different spots, different techniques, get advice from other players, this is another good resource. So I want to make sure those two links are put in the game. All right, I think that's enough. Let's get through the tutorial. And I'm not working tonight, so that means that, hopefully we'll be able to actually get a good hour or so into this new account, new leveling guide, and just see what my brain thinks to talk about as we're going. Okay, when you start playing RF4, as I am now, they start you off at the cottage pond here for the tutorial. So this is what we're going to do. Pretty much just going to teach you the basics. There's a lot of things this game does not teach you. And that's why having a friendly YouTuber or two or three or a dozen, providing content for you to try to figure some other things out, especially when you're new, is helpful. Getting into communities. That's the other thing we need to say, right? Let's do this real quick. One of the communities right here in game. So you'll notice in chat, like right now, there's 9 people at a vacation house. And you can say, hey, y'all. Anyway, you just say hello in chat. But if you want to get into like a larger chat or the chat where I hang out on all my accounts, primarily my main account, you can go click on this little cogwheel thing. That's what I call it. I don't know if that's really what it is. Go down here to this space here and type MY space DAWGS. MDawgs. I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan, and my name starts with an M. So all my friends when I was young in school called me MDawg. That's the name I've had forever. So anyway, that's how this all came about. But there you go. Click on it. Currently there's 522 players. That number is going to go up and down because every time there's a patch, people get kicked out, and you have to go back and join again. But if you want to join that chat like I just did, it's a good place to hang out. Now, we won't say anything yet, because if I say something right now, it'll give away the fact that we've created this new leveling guide. We're going to let it simmer, let them see the fish we catch, see who picks up on it. But now, all of a sudden, we're fishing with all of our 500 and something friends, you know what I mean? So, anyway, if you're looking for an in-game community, do that. If you're looking for a Discord community, we're going to post the link on this video. If you're looking for just resources in general, my recommendation is the VK site, but let me tell you, there's other ones as well. Maybe we'll talk about other resources down the line. If there's a resource you use that you like as your primary resource for finding out information or new spots about this game, maybe it's the RF4 Discord, the official RF4 Discord. Maybe it's the forums, whatever. Let me know in the comments. Curious what you guys use, and if you want to post a link in the comments, if it lets you do that here on YouTube, I think it does. Feel free. I'll approve it. I'll say, yay, thank you for sharing that link. Make sure they're links about RF4 and appropriate. I don't know. I'm regretting me even saying this already. This could turn into a nightmare. We're talking about RF4 links. All right, we're all mature. We're mature adults here, okay? Welcome back. Okay. Man, yeah, if you're looking, by the way, if you're looking for a guide that's really succinct and streamlines you, and it's just going to jump into all the pertinent info you need, and well, that's not what this is. This is a journey, right? This is come enjoy the journey with me, and we'll go through the first few levels of leveling over a series of episodes and try out some different spots while we're doing it, but mostly like talk about maybe what gear we want to buy next and all that. That's what this is. All right, so we're walking again. We're going to get through this tutorial. At least that's what we'll do in this first episode. All right, first thing they want us to do is hit I go to our inventory. We're going to pick up the Telestick TL16 here. You can click on this little I thing to get some more information. It's going to tell you a lot of valuable information. You're going to want to start looking at this even from early on. Certainly when you start looking at purchasing gear and you're trying to figure out how strong is my rod and reel, what are the attributes of it that's important to know. But right now we're just going to go down here. We're going to pick it up. Numbers up, let's see, number plus and number down. So if you hit plus and minus, basically you can change the float depth when you're float fishing. And right now we want to go to 1 meter. There we are. Now we're going to press the left mouse button, hold it down, cast about, I don't know, 70%, get into the middle of the circle. And hey, guess what? Russian Fishing 4. We're fishing, y'all. Ooh, already a nibble? What is it, like 9:43 in the morning? Pretty good time to be fishing. At least we got daytime to get through the tutorial, right? Nighttime we'll do some fishing. Daytime we're getting through the tutorial. Well, we got a quick nibble now. It's gone away. Oh, he wants us to zoom. Maybe we're not going to catch fish till after we zoom. Yeah, I think that was pausing it, actually. Oh, that's a real bite, isn't it? I guess it wasn't. I mean, I may have gone too early. So here's one thing, and I'll try to talk about this. I mean, this is something that we'll maybe focus on early, since when we start off, we're not going to have... I mean, eventually, we'll gear up. We'll probably get like 3 bottom rods. Maybe we'll get a couple spin fishing setups, do a little trolling. I mean, I don't know, but I'm not really the one that focuses on float fishing, but I'll try to pick my spots in this leveling guide and do it a little bit. You have to do it here in the tutorial. I think we want to reset here, by the way. It really is unusual in this spot to not get a nibble for that long. But the thing with float fishing, especially, this is an RPG. I don't know if you knew that. But this is an RPG fishing game. And before you put any skills in, before you have earned, any experience, And just the fact that we're fishing for this particular type of fish, crucian gibbles, these little small carp species, Chinese sleepers, common roach. These little fish, they're not very confident. They are going to come nibble, 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 nibble. And when do you set the hook when you're float fishing? Challenging on these types of fish. If you can learn how to fish these fish really good float fishing and hit your spots, that will prepare you well, because most of the fish species that you'll float fish later in the game tends to be easier to pick up when the bite's really happening, in my opinion. Now, carp, same kind of thing. That can be challenging. But if you can do it on the small guys, you can do it on the big guys down the line. So anyway, float fishing, we'll try to focus on it here and there. There are a lot of things. So we hit backspace there. I've got it programmed to a different button on my mouse. But anyway, put that back in our inventory. Okay, now it wants to go to our house. So this is kind of cool. Like, we're at the Cottage Pond here. We're going to be going Cottage Pond, Mosquito Lake, Winding Rivulet today. Most of the fishing will be at Mosquito, but here at the Cottage Pond, there are a couple of useful things you can do, namely getting free gear. Early on, this is a lifesaver. You can hit Y to get free float tackle, which the most important things, you get worms. It's a bait. Really, the rod and float you get and all that, the hook, I mean, that's garbage. You could bust something early, I guess, and have to come back and get free tackle and actually fish with it. That is possible. It's more likely you might decide to fish with the spare spinning tackle. While it's still pretty much garbage, it's more useful to me than the little like bamboo float stuff. But we are going to get the float tackle this first time. Once every 24 hours in game, we can do this. So that means every hour in real life, we come get free stuff. Okay, now it wants, and that's about all we're going to do here at Mosquito. Now, if you're really wanting to like catch frogs, you could argue that, at a low level, Mosquito you might want to come try it. If you just want to do it for fun, you could fish Mosquito. But in most not Mosquito, Cottage Pond, where we are now. In most cases, going ahead and traveling to the Mosquito Lake is the way to go. If for no other reason, because that's where the first cafe is, and that's going to help you make early money. So let's travel and let's finish this tutorial. They're going to have us buy a couple things here at Mosquito, figure out how to sell our fish, that kind of stuff. And then we'll also go do quick spin fishing lesson number 1 at Winding. And then we'll be through with the tutorial and we can just relax and fish and hang out. That's what we're doing together. We're going to hang out, right? Go Braves. Let's go Braves. World Series. Did y'all catch it? 2021. Wait, is that what it says? Yeah. 2021 World Series. Love it. Oh, so fun. So fun. Okay. Find the fish market. First of all, let me just talk about the cafe. Real quick. If you are a low level, new to the game, cafe. Okay. I think this is such a quick way for a new player to try to make some silver. If you come here to Mosquito, you can catch little crucian gibbles all day. And these are just like, these only have to be markers. In other words, they don't have to be like decent fish to meet some of these cafe orders at Mosquito. Same with roach. And the bleak ones on here, I don't know an active bleak spot at Mosquito, but you can always experiment once you know how to catch them. One thing that's not on here, but that I'm sure talk about at some point in this leveling guide, is the rough. R-U-F-F-E. The rough cafe orders. If you can get those down, they are lucrative and not hard to catch. Once you can afford some small hooks and easy money, worth doing. So that's cafe. Don't miss out on the cafe. Here's the fish market. We're going to sell our first fish for almost half a silver. Listen, at this level, it's good stuff, okay? All right, now they want us to go buy maggots from the tackle store. So this is where we spawn in. We're going to go all the way down here on the end. Another thing you can do once every 24 hours at Mosquito and Winding Rivulet, the other map we'll go to in a minute, is you can eat for free once a day. Again, early on, that matters. So we'll eat there, and then we'll go to the tackle store and get our maggots. We'll click on bait here, and we'll scroll down to maggots. We're going to buy 2.4 silver worth of maggots, which is 30. It's a great deal. You're always going to make your money back and then a lot more on a good bait like maggots, especially a good cheap bait like that. Okay, now we're going to teach us how to craft. We'll be doing a lot of this in this leveling guide as well, especially leveling up our bait harvesting. Look, we want to be able to get to pearl barley ASAP. So we're going to make a lot of bread and a few potatoes to do that. But right now it's teaching us how to make bread. It's already in here. Select your bread. This is what you're going to make. Hit craft. How I got here was I hit N, clicked on wet bread. If that's empty, just click on it and you can select bread and then make it. Bread's really cheap. Don't eat it early on. Turn it into bait. See how we leveling up. Here's the RPG. Everything you do in this game, you're going to be leveling up stuff. The more you level up, the better you'll be, and the more you unlock to make more ideal or more desirable baits or whatever. So there we go. We'll go ahead and craft another one while we're here. And we'll use this bread early on. We'll use it a little bit. I don't use bread. Like if I think, when's the last time I actually fished with bread on my main account? I just don't do it very often. Do you all? If you've been playing this game for a long time, how often do you fish with bread? Any other bait that you craft, there's a time and a place that I will fish with it. Bread, it's rare that I come back to bread. But early on, it's fine. Catches crucian gibble roaches, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. Pretty well. Okay, so it's 12:53 in the afternoon. This is the perfect time to go. So you see the tutorials wanting us to go to Winding Rivulet. The other thing that's nice now is all these three are all free to travel. So, you know, we can travel back and forth. It doesn't matter. But Winding Rivulet's going to have us go learn how to do spin fishing. Really quick. Very basic guide. Yes, we want to finish the tutorial. Okay. F is a flashlight key in case it's getting dark. Alright, find you a little spot down here. Press I. This time we're going to pick up the Corona. Remember we talked about hitting I over here earlier. This tells you the stats of the rod. Load capacity 2.5 kilos. So this rod can hold up to 2.5 kilos of force. More than that, you have a chance of breaking your rod. The reel can hold 3 kilos max drag. That's not good. You really want this to be lower than your rod. You want things to break in this order. You want the rod to be the last thing that would break. The reel, the next to last thing that would break. The line, the thing before that. This thing is set up completely opposite. So normally what you want is you want your leader to be the weakest thing. If you're not using a leader, you want your line to be the weakest thing. So like a better setup with this would be to have a leader that had a load capacity, let's say 2 kilos. Line that had 2.1 kilos. And a reel that was 2.2 kilos or 2.3 kilos. And then a load capacity for the rod, 2.5. Anyway, just to kind of get you started, that's how you kind of want to look at it. All right, pick this up. Now, he wants me to set the friction brake to 25. I'm going to use my mouse wheel to do that. And then you want to hold down R and then mouse wheel again to change your retrieval speed. Now, this is going to have us retrieve really slow because we're using a little spinner bait. So we're going to do just constant retrieval. All right, now, if you hold shift down, obviously when I press left mouse button, I hold it down, that's going to increase the percentage on how far I want to cast it, like we did with the telescopic in the first part of this tutorial. Or you can do shift and left click, and that will do maximum cast every time. I'm just going to do maximum cast here. Now we're just doing a straight retrieve. If you hold shift while you're retrieving, you'll retrieve twice as fast. And there we go. Wait, did we just... Nice. We just hit some personal records. Look at that. A bunch of tasks towards qualifications. Spin fishing we leveled up. Let's keep that bad boy. We're still only level 1. That wasn't a marker. That wasn't a keeper. All right, so let's do one more. One more cast. One more reel. Let's see if we catch a fish this time. I have this long-standing theory. I don't think it's a theory anymore. I think it's just facts. The game is programmed to let you hit that perch automatically. We could stand here. Ooh, there's another one. Nice. We could stand here and, fish the same spot over and over. We'll still catch a decent amount of fish. But on that first cast, it seems like it's 100% bite rate. I've never seen it not hit pretty quick on that first cast. So I'm holding shift there for a second. I get that little speed up message down in the bottom left. And then I go back to regular retrieval. And because we can't cast that far, RPG, we don't have much skill yet. I just do straight retrieval after one speed up. After that, I'm just doing straight, just to give the fish as long of a chance as possible, hoping that they're going to come grab that thing. Do we have other lures? We do. We've got some nicer lures, honestly, but let's just do it one more time. Again, just kind of showing you. I think we're... Oh, we didn't get speed up. I think it was like hitting the bottom or something. It messed our, see that? I don't think that's a fish hitting it. I think that was like it hitting the bottom. Like we might not be quite retrieving this fast enough to keep it towards the top. We're kind of dragging it across the bottom right now, it seems like. So I'm going to change this to like 18 retrieval. I don't want to go too fast, but I also want to see if I can raise the elevation as we're retrieving it a little bit. Let's try this again one time, and then we'll get out of here. This isn't what we want to do early. We're not going to start off spin fishing. We'll try to get to some spin fishing, but we're not going to start off. All right, there's a nice retrieval. Now we're going to go speed up, get that speed up a little bit, and now slow it down again. Hopefully some perch saw that, thought, ooh, that looks yummy. It's chasing it right now. It's about to pop it, Yep, see there? Right at the end. I hope you saw that. That's MDawg at his best right there. Doesn't get any better than that. It's all downhill from here, actually. No. Look at these rough orders. Easy peasy. No perch order. We're out of here. All right, there's one thing I want to try before we leave winding, just because we probably won't be back. Oh, man, if I start doing this, though, it kind of messes our silver up. All right, so let's talk about the first thing we want to buy. All right, the first thing we want to buy is we want to get our first feeder set up, okay? I'm actually going to use the free reel that came with with the spinning setup as our feeder reel, because spinning reels you can use on any kind of equipment, except for a bunch of examples of things you can't use them on. But for this purposes, if you're using a feeder, if you've got like a bolo rod, because you've leveled your float fishing up a little bit, you can use bolo where you can put a reel on there for your float fishing. Spinning reel's fine. If you're spin fishing, as long as it's a spinning rod, you can use it. So you can use, what I'm saying is spinning reels are very versatile. Other reels are more like for particular things, right? But this spinning reel we can use. So we're going to disassemble this, okay? And now we're going to go to the store and we're going to purchase our first feeder rod. In my opinion, the first thing to do, if you want a fairly smooth start in this very complicated game that can be a little punishing at first. What is my camera picking up over there? Oh, it's like where the wall ends or something. Yeah, I don't like that angle. Oh, I think my monitor maybe is a little bit. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So feeder rod, first feeder rod. And we're going to get everything as cheap as possible. The only difference in these three here, let's hit this I thing. The only difference is not the load capacity. It's all going to be 4.6 load capacity, okay? The only difference is, I shouldn't say the only difference. The main difference is the length. The mass is also different, but the main difference here is the length. We're going to go shortest only because in the big scheme of things, we're not going to be using this that long, right? This is just to get us going, to start helping us catch as many fish as possible early on to meet those cafe orders. and start to experience this fun game. We're going to get the Sorrento Feeder 100. How did I get here? You start here with everything selected. I just clicked on rods and I actually went to feeder rods. Click on the very first one, cheapest by far, 37 silver. All right, we've got 10 silver left. We're going to run out of silver really quick. All right, so we still need some other things, but let's go ahead and set this up. Now, one of the things you want to realize that this game, sort of like a European style of fishing approach, this game expects you, except for when you're spin fishing, but even sometimes when you are spin fishing, this game, hey, what's up, Freddie? I see you sitting back there. How's it going, Freddie? Free Freddie? MVP? Re-signing Braves. What are you doing? You're expected to be fishing with more than one fishing rod. 3, in fact. In the beginning, we might be just doing 2. We'll see how patient I am with the float. But to set this up, you want to hold down the letter U and drag things to these numbers over here, right? So this is going to be shortcuts. So if I hit the number 1 button on my keyboard or mouse, because I have numbers on my mouse as well, it's going to pull up whatever I put in number 1. So that feeder we just bought, the Sorrento, I'm going to put in the number 1 slot. If I hit number 1, I pull it out. All right. We're going to attach this little spark starter reel. It's a little sad, but we're going to put that on there. We have some line we can use. Yeah. Now, what else do we need to actually make this feeder work? What else do we need? We need a bite indicator. It's not required, but man, it's kind of, it's pretty advanced to be fishing with a feeder without some sort of bite or an indicator on there. We need a sinker or a feeder cage. Hint, we'll get the feeder cage because we're going to be using ground bait from the start, and saves a little silver not getting the feeder at first. We'll get sinkers later, but right now we're just going to get a feeder cage. We don't need a leader to start off with, and then we need a hook. Well, we've got hooks. What size hook are we going to want to use? If you hold down Shift when you hover over this, you can see what it is really quick. I think this is a nicer hook than this, right? So we'll put the 14 on there. And then obviously we'll need some bait. So right now we need the cage and the bite indicator. All that being said. Okay, you can find those under rig components. First, let's get our feeder. We're going to go classic feeder, and we want the very cheapest 30-gram feeder, okay? That's what we're going to go with. 2.9 silver. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's get our rod back out. By the way, when you're holding the rod, if you hit V, it takes you right to this, okay? Now we can put that cage on there. What else do we need? The bite indicator. The test on this is up to 100 grams. So putting a 30-gram feeder on here is fine. If we had gotten a 100-gram feeder cage and then put ground bait in there and bait and all that, we'd be over the test, which means it'd be too heavy, risk of breaking that thing just from throwing it out there. So you got to stay within the test. We'll probably talk more about that at some point. All right, let's get that bite indicator. Go back to rig components, bite alarms, and we want to get the twin bells because they're just the cheapest. So for now, that's just what we got to do. 2.9 silver. So we're down to 5 silver. Okay, there we go. Now, we kind of want to make some ground bait. We can already make crucian gibble and roach mix. We'll go with crucian gibble, that's fine. So we want ground crackers, millet porridge, sunflower oil. So, see this feeder cage we're putting on here? Well, this adds some weight so that we actually can cast it out, right? But it also is a cage. We're going to put ground bait in there to try to attract some fish. Again, if you're from the U.S. like I am, or certain parts of the world maybe, you might not be as familiar with this. I certainly wasn't before I started playing this game, but for some folks, this is like old hat. So we're going to get some ground crackers for our base, and then for our additives, we're going to get some millet porridge. Ultimately, we're going to want more than one of these, but that's fine. And then we're going to go to add attractants. So that was our additive. Attractant, we want sunflower oil. Now, sunflower oil, it's 0.9 silver. Seems kind of pricey, but remember, this is 5 servings worth. The other 2 things were just 1. Sunflower oil is, any of the attractants are 5. All right. What bait are we going to use? Most likely it will be bread, I'm guessing. By the time we get over there, it'll be nighttime. We'll be fishing for crucian gibbles. We'll probably be bread. All right, so hit N. You know, this is where we crafted bread earlier. Let's click ground bait. Let's craft our first crucian gibble ground bait. Hopefully we won't fail it on the first time. That would be embarrassing. You can fail. All right, we're 0.2 in ground bait. 6 out of 10. We'll be putting points in this pretty quick, by the way, just so we have as high a quality of ground bait as possible. But more about that later. All right, we made it, so we can hit V again, and we can go put that ground bait in there. It says your name. It says what it is. You can make your own recipes, or you can use the pre-programmed ones, but you have to level up your ground bait to make some of the higher level ground bait recipes, or to use some of the higher level ingredients. Anyway, we have this set up. Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure we did. I want to make sure we could get that set up. Now, any other silver we have, I'm kind of okay if we play around with it a little bit. And I did all that to do this, to get some bloodworm. And we're going to put our telestick in the number 2 spot. And I want to look at hooks real quick. What is the smallest hook we can get? Well, we can't afford that. So we can't get a small hook at all. So all that actually is probably for nothing. I guess we could try it just to see what happens. The whole reason why I was going to try this, and we're going to do float depth of very shallow. Sometimes, if you've watched my previous leveling guides, one of the first things I often do is come down here, kind of where we were spin fishing a minute ago, and just do a check to see if anything's biting. Down here on bloodworm, once you can make pearl barley, it's also worth trying that. Typically, what would be biting here would be dace or bleak. And bleak is really what you want, even from this level. They're so small, they're easy to hit with float fishing, but you want tiny hooks. This hook is way too big, so I'm just more out of curiosity doing this with a size 16 hook. But once we have a little silver, we'll come check some of the bleak spots, both this spot here as well as way over down that way at the pond. We'll check for bleak there as well. Because really, especially if there's cafe orders, but even if there's not, at an early level, it's reasonably decent XP and silver to catch a few bleak. What is that? Is that a roach? Let's find out. What do you say? Oh, it is a dace. It's a nice dace. Man. Wait, we just hit level 3 on that dace? Not an ace, it's a dace. Just for curiosity, let's look and see what that thing sells for. 8 silver? Are you kidding me? Woo. Holy moly, guys. I don't know if we can duplicate it, though. Oh, is that the first fish we've caught that showed up on our chat, by the way? Just got a message from somebody. What's up, Red Fisher? Red Fisher noticed first. All right, let's see if we can duplicate this. It's getting to be nighttime. I kind of want to get our feeder in the water at Mosquito for some crucian gibbles, see what we can catch, but that was such an unusually nice dace to catch. Ooh. All right, I don't know what that is, but no. We want to go a little bit farther than that, I think. I never saw it, so it might have been really small. It's hard to know. I'm hitting Z to zoom in. See how nice and clear these bites are? We don't want perch. Really nice and clear bites. So that last fish that we didn't catch might have been a perch because I didn't see it. That green is hard to see in this muddy water. But if it's a dace or a bleak or a roach, sort of that light silvery shininess tends to show up better. Making sure all of our volume's okay. We're getting mic volume, desktop volume. Oh, let it go, let it go. Come on back, take it. I think it's going to be a roach or something. Dace or oblique, I think it would have taken it just more cleanly. But I don't know. It looks silvery. That might be a perch again, huh? Something nibbling. Is it still on there? Is it still swimming around it? I don't see it anymore. Might have gotten out of its little territory. All right. It is still drifting with the current. We'll give it another second, and then we're going to take off. Sell that fish and take off. So that one fish more than paid for the 30 bloodworms we purchased at the store, right? I mean, not only did it pay for them, but it was it gave us a ton of money back. So, so we'll sell both of these, 8.25 silver, and we're heading back to Mosquito. I want to try a little spot. I'm glad we got that silver, because actually we need to go ahead and buy a map at Mosquito so that we can pull up the map and kind of talk about different spots while we're trying some stuff out. But let's go ahead and get our feeder in, and then I'll go buy the map. So we want retrieval speed to be up, and we want friction brake to be down. And the spot we're going for is... Wait. Hold on, let me think about this. I've only fished in this spot. Wait, is this it? Let me think about this. Hold on. I think I have it. Yeah, this is totally it. This is totally it. All right, 4574. Now I have no idea what clip. I think I was using 7 on my main account. I was testing this earlier. It seemed like a pretty decent... We're just going to go like straight out here. Oh, I need to show you how to clip, don't I? All right, I hit 0 to put that down on the ground. So there's a feeder. I mean, this is the kind of fishing. And for me, I love doing this. Setting up feeder rods, using ground bait, trying to attract the fish that way. Anyway. All right, so let's go get that map. We've got that in the water. That should catch a fish pretty quick. We'll hear that bell jingling. Let's find the admin building and buy a map so that we can look at the map here. Grocery store, we do need more bread so we can keep crafting. Hardware, tackle. That's our free food. Wait a minute. Is admin really over here? I thought it was, maybe it is. Maybe it's this one right here on the right. Whoa. Yeah. So it's 3 silver. I mean, 3 silver is nothing at, eventually. When you first start, 3 silver kind of sucks. But now we can hit M. We actually see the map of Mosquito Lake. So, by the way, another really nice, consistent spot, almost always active here at Mosquito, is right here. 5594, casting, again, 7-8 meter clip right over there towards those reeds. It's right here in C3. And that's a spot that I've used a lot more. This spot we're fishing at right now, and we'll go back to it now, is a spot that I'm not familiar with. And have just fished it recently, and it's been pretty solid. I don't know if it's as solid, but it's pretty good right now. People have been trophy fishing over here, trying to hit trophy crucians and gibbles and stuff, so... All right, we've got a fish on. Raise that friction brake up a little bit, and let's pull this sucker in. This seems like a decent fish, right? Yeah, it's our first marker gibble carp. Awesome. And that was on bread. Yep, that was on bread. hit Y and tighten it up when you're looking at it on the ground. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this back out. It's nighttime. Like, I think we'll just put worms on here. We will, for better or for worse, do a little bit of float fishing. I'm assuming it might not be 1 meter deep right here in front of us, but let's just see. Yeah. Okay, so let's try 80. We'll keep backing it down until we find a depth that the float can kind of sit normally. It's pretty shallow over here. Yeah. So let's try 50. Because that didn't seem like that is even getting close, did it? Now, I know that feeder fishing is nice over here. I don't know about float fishing, but, you know, if the fish are here, they should at least bite a little bit. And that's pretty much all we can do for now. I mean, like I said, technically we could get a third rod out, like a bamboo float rod, but ooh, that is miserable. Especially at night like this. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But it is slow going early on. Slow going. I think we might be getting a little bit of a nibble. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of wind, so something's moving that float. So we'll pick it up and watch it a little bit. So we're hoping to catch enough fish, decent fish, that we can afford a second feeder setup just as quickly as we can. I think that's sort of the priority to me, even over like leveling up bait harvesting or ground bait. Yeah, we do eventually want to put some resources into those things, but the first thing is you just need a setup where you can efficiently catch the fish that you need to catch to meet cafe orders. To me, early on. Unless you just get on a really good spot, and then maybe it doesn't matter about the cafe orders as much. But early on, I think that's what we want to do. So we had a nibble on that as well, but has not turned into anything. Oh, there we go. So just like with float fishing, on feeder rods, you want to make sure that that's a good bite and not just a nibble. At this point, the fish is like swimming away from us, so it must be. And this is what we are hoping for in this spot. A nice percentage of markers. And I don't think I've explained that yet, but markers basically means the fish is large enough that it's going to be worth something. If it did not have that green check on it, then it would be, then we would get pretty much almost nothing for it. But because it has that check mark, it'll be worth at least a little bit of something at the cafe. This nibble is still going on over here. Now, you could argue that that might be a bite. It just kind of depends on what fish it is. It's pulling it down, but when it pulls it down that slowly, I think 9 times out of 10, it's not a bite, but... Okay, we got it. We did hook it. I don't know if you could tell how gently I was pulling there. Oh, it's a little Chinese sleeper. Cute little guy. That one did not have a check mark, so that one will, unless we get a lucky cafe for it, that Chinese sleeper will be next to nothing, worth next to nothing. I'll show you real quick what I'm talking about. Where's the fish market? So this sleeper is worth 0.03 silver, but since these were markers, both of these fish are worth more than a silver. And there's no sleeper orders right now. There is this gibble carp order. Now that's possible. So for 2, we could get 8 silver. The cafe is almost always worth significantly more than what you would get from just straight selling the fish. That's why cafe is so important, I think, early on, to try to minimize how long you spend in this like early grind. Because it is a grind. I really meant to say that at the beginning. I usually do say that at the beginning of these videos. If you are new to Russian Fishing 4, you should know this is a very grindy game. So make sure you enjoy playing the game, because if you really want to progress in the game, it takes quite a while. There's a little crucian on float. And it will feel at times especially really grindy. So it's a long nibble on the bottom rod. I think it's on there now though. Yeah, it's on there. You can always hit R. If this little red sign comes up in the bottom right, it basically doesn't allow you to change the reel speed. That means you currently have a fish on. Oh, I'll try to remember next time we catch a fish on the bottom rod. I'll try to remember to show you the clip, how to set a clip. If you're not familiar with that terminology, a clip is basically, it will make it where you can't cast your setup past a certain different distance. So if I set that clip at 7 meters, then when the line goes out to 7 meters out, it's going to stop it. If I don't have the clip set at all, then it'll cast as far as my current skill and the equipment allows me to. If I max cast, it's affected by wind and other stuff as well, I suppose, but for the most part it's going to be based on the gear you're using and your skill, which affects, you know, how well you're able to cast. And later in the game, you will be casting a lot farther. I mean, thankfully, a lot of these spots at Mosquito, early on spots, are really close in. You're fishing right up against the shore. So casting really accurate or really far, which you can't do anyway with your current skill, it's not as important. I think that's still a nibble, not a bite. In other words, if I tried to set the hook right now by lifting it up a little bit to the side or whatever, it would just, it would just scare the fish away. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Now that might be a little bite. I don't know if you saw it, kind of got aggressive. It was like a double little pull. Hey, look, it's a nice rough. Woo! That is a nice rough. Is that our first roach? No, it's another crucian. It's a small crucian, so I thought it might have been a roach. Oh, all right, let me show you clip. All right, so you're going to hold down control. When you first pick up a piece of equipment, if there's no clip set and you hold down control, you want to press the plus sign. So kind of like if you were changing the depth with float fishing, and that will start the line clip. You can change how much minus goes down, of course. And if I set this back to clip 7 or 8, I think we've been using 7, that's what it'll be at. It won't go past 7 meters. No matter how hard I cast it, it'll stop at 7 meters. Which you still want to kind of find approximately how hard you need to cast it to get 7 meters so that you don't have a lot of blowback. If you're casting 7 meters and you do a full cast like that, especially once you have some skills, you'll cast it so hard that it'll pop back, so it won't be a very accurate clip. So you still kind of want to watch the force you're using, but technically it might be good to tighten this up. You can look at this and hit Y to tighten it up. I don't always tighten it up completely because it doesn't seem to matter too much. Like, I don't think it has to be 100% tight, but if you want to hear the bell like immediately when the fish starts to play with it, then having it tight will help with that. Oh, I think that was a bite. Let's see if we kept it on. Yeah. I don't know if you could tell, but it started like bouncing 2 or 3 times, got a little more aggressive with the bite, or with the nibble. That's when it, to me, it transitioned from a nibble to a bite. I'm going to hit R there to make sure the fish is really on. I thought it was. Basically what happened, the fish got on our line, picked up the bait, and then started swimming straight towards us. That's why all that slack was building up. So I just wanted to make sure it was really on there. We're not doing bad here. I mean, again, like we're fishing with 1 feeder. Imagine, you know, this little spot, if we had 3 feeders out, you know, we'd probably have twice as much, if not a little more than this. Float hasn't been doing bad either, though. I don't know that it's 100% kept up with feeder, but it's pretty close. So that's a good sign, especially if you are new to the game like this account is. You're not going to have 3 feeder rods from the very beginning. You're only going to have 1, and that's if you followed my advice to buy that feeder rod first and not spend silver on other stuff. Potentially, you might not have any if you purchased a couple other things first. So that was just a nibble in my book. There is almost endless amounts of gear in this game. And what made me think of that is that there's even, lots of different brands of floats, or when I was a kid, we called them bobbers, but different ones give you sort of a different look in the water. That was borderline. That might have been a bite there. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, that's going nuts. Yeah, that's a bite for sure. Different floats. Like there's some floats that to me are just like a little easier to see the difference in nibbles and bites. But no matter what you're using, this early stuff, it's hard to tell. And if you're new to the game, your instinct is probably going to be to think it's a bite when it's not. So usually it's good to be patient. And then there's only so many different animations. So you also just kind of start testing things and figuring out like, okay, when it's that animation, is that ever a bite? Because remember, sometimes, especially without any skill points put into anything like we have right now, sometimes you're just going to miss the fish. It's not always user error. Sometimes, the fish is just going to slip off the hook. So sometimes it can be hard to tell. All right, speaking of skill points, we're level 4 now, and we do have skill points. These are all the categories. I can tell I'm in the way right now. These are all the categories of where you can put skill points. Float fishing, we're up to 1.6 out of 100% of leveling up float fishing. Spin fishing, bottom fishing, which is what we're doing on our first setup. Harvesting baits, which is your ability to make baits, either dig them out of the ground or craft them with different ingredients. Cooking, which we will get to because we want to be able to make tea and coffee and that kind of stuff to give us energy so that we can dig more often. We'll get to that eventually, but not yet, because first we got to get our rods and reels set up. Making ground bait. If you're doing a lot of bottom fishing, ground bait's going to be big, really important. Making lures. You probably don't want to touch this very much as a new player unless you're committed to mostly doing spin fishing. Then it might be worth like going in there a little bit, but it does get expensive, it's a pretty expensive thing to level up. Everything is. Everything requires silver, right? So, are we getting a nibble on the float right now? We are. So, let's see if we can catch this fish on float. And once we do, let's go check cafe, kind of see where we are, because we're coming up on an hour here. So, we want to pick a spot to kind of wrap things up. Although this is still good fishing time, we'll definitely fish here until at least 8, 9 a.m. just to kind of, because during the middle of the day in this spot, we'll still catch fish, but we might not catch quite as high a percentage of markers. I mean, look at how well we've done with how many of these fish have markers. And again, now our float rod's not keeping up with feeder. I mean, I think we've seen it now long enough where, ooh, that's a decent one. That's a nice crucian. We're doing pretty good in this spot. I think this is a good little spot for level 1, or, you know, a new account, new fisherman. It's a pretty good place to check out. Not sure if that was actually a, yeah. Really? I might have been wrong. That might have just been a nibble, not a bite. But it's still going after it, so we're okay. It just looks so violent, but it's just nibbles. Okay, now we're talking. Again, you saw that double bounce. Looked like it was about to tear something up. That's a nice crucian for float. Again, catching the crucian on worms. Also catching a lot of crucian and other stuff on our bread with our ground bait. All right. Some more really nice fish. So the first thing I want to do is just to get a basic look. If we were selling these fish to the fish market, how much have we made? Now I know that we need what, around 60 silver to get our second feeder rod. So right now we've made 14 silver. You know, it's a grindy game. Even from the first time you play it, even if you know what you're doing, it's grindy. All right, let's see if there's any of these orders that it looks like we could get. This one, we just need one more big gibble. That's definitely possible. We don't want to cash this order in until we do this one, if possible, because this uses the larger ones and it's worth more silver. I don't think any of these other orders we're likely to hit. I guess we could, maybe in episode 2, if this order is still up, we could try to get the rough order. I don't know. I don't really like going for rough if I don't have multiple feeder rods. Because that can be frustrating, because then you're maybe like one short and you can't quite do the cafe order, and then you just feel like frustrated. But I think we might have a fish on our feeder, but let's see if we can hit this float as well. Unless it keeps, if it goes back to like not much nibbling, then we'll put it down. But I think we're close to getting a bite here. Yeah, it's on there. Little fella, another little fella. We're getting a lot of crucians, but cafe order wise, it'd be nice to hit a couple little gibbles, right? And that is a crucian. Those little non-markers are worth nothing without a cafe order. These little guys. But one thing it does do is it levels up. Everything we do levels up our, you know, either float or bottom fishing right now, which that contributes to your ability to catch larger fish as much as anything. Your overall level, trying to get fancy there. So you notice on the feeder rod, even though I've got a fish on, I put it back down. You can do that. Now, you increase your chances of losing the fish. Ooh, and this is a nice gibble that we needed for that cafe order too. But, you know, once it's hooked, it auto hooks. The feeder rods, the hooks I use, you know, that fish is hooked on there. So unless it slips the hook, you know, it's going to sit there and wait for you in most cases. All right, we can go do that, the bigger gibble order, cafe order now. This would be a nice little spot if we had 2 or especially 3 feeder setups, trying out different little bait combinations. You know what? I actually think I want to pull this. Nope, there really isn't a fish on. I thought that might have been a bite, but, and it might have been. It might have just slipped off, but I think I might have misjudged it. Another nice crucian. Good sizes, you know. I mean, again, we're using 14 hooks and bread, so nothing fancy, but we're doing okay here. let's go ahead and no, you know what? Let's fish let's just fish as long as we're gonna fish. There was plenty of time on those cafe orders. We'll fish a little bit longer. And wow. See, even that one, like that was 100% a bite, but we still missed it. We still missed the thing. All right, I'm gonna take a bio break real quick. So y'all take care of my fishing. I'll be right back. Did y'all handle it for me? It seems like y'all did pretty good. We got a fish on here. We're about to have a fish on float, maybe. Yep, the fish are getting a little smaller. We'll try to get one more marker, one or two more markers from this spot. But like I say, I mean, you know, this game is grindy, so you kind of have to, you can't be in the mindset, you know, ever with this game of like impatient wanting to, I should have pulled that. Oh, there we go. Impatiently like wanting to get to a certain, holy cow. That is a nice little gibble. By the way, spacebar puts down your little net. Holy cow. Spacebar puts down your little net. You can buy a better net later on that can go a little farther, a little bigger, but this net is fine. And they just, you know, fairly recently, within last year or whatever, started giving you that net as a part of your starter deal. I'm feeling good right now. Like I told you before, I'm not working tonight. We might go ahead and record episode 2 tonight too, guys. So to me, to finish my thought, like, you can't get in a thing of like, okay, I got to make 100 silver right now. What can I do? You just got to find a spot that's fun to fish and then just relax. Say hello to your like buddies in chat. You know, talk about what's working, what's not working. Listen to what other people are saying, you know. This is a complicated enough game that there's a lot of ways to be successful. There's a ton of stuff to experiment with. I mean, just wait till we get to boilies. I mean, there's so much variety. So, you know, like something that's fun to do is, you know, so like we're going to be at this spot for, I don't know. By the time we leave, shut this episode down, maybe we'll have fished in this spot for like 45 minutes, 30, 45 minutes, something. Well, maybe next time I play, we go to another spot, do 45 minutes there, and just see like, okay, which one did we do better? And then once we have multiple feeder rods, then not only can you compete with spots, see which one does better, but you can also try different baits in the same spot. Okay, did worms or bread do better? Or maybe pearl barley, or semolina, you know, or red worms, or night crawlers. You know, what bait's doing the best? So you just try to relax, have fun, find spots to fish in where there's some active fish biting, and then just kind of like find other ways to sort of entertain yourself. The silver will come, the experience, the levels will come. You know, like, yes, going to Old Berg is a lot of fun. But you can't do it to your level 12. And honestly, you'll fish at Old Berg for so long, you might as well just enjoy Mosquito and, man, Marker Chinese Sleeper. I like to see that. You might as well just enjoy Mosquito and Winding for now. Man, but this spot is doing great. Oh, crap. We missed the bite. We missed the bite. Okay. Let's hold this so we don't miss that again. I mean, that was an obvious bite, right? I just was in the midst. It was in the process of reeling in the feeder rod. That's a nibble. Oh, that is still a nibble. But we have a fish on here. So it's 9 a.m. We've been here 27 minutes. I guess let's get 30 minutes. And then we'll just try to remember. So 30 minutes at... Where is this? 45.74. We'll see how much... Kind of how this spot does. And I guess we'll do the comparison not counting cafe. We'll just see what the raw silver would be. Be a little bit of a comp against ourselves. And then maybe we can go do one, get some bleak and dace, see if we can catch those at Winding. We'll splurge on a smaller hook maybe. What are we at? 28 minutes. So we want to catch at least one more here on feeder, I guess, and then we'll wrap up this first episode. At the end of this episode, one thing I'm going to do is kind of go sort of show you again what it is we're saving for on our second feeder rod. Now, to do a comparison, we do want to do the 30 minutes that involves, late afternoon to early morning. Same 30 minutes. But that'll work out good in terms of when I'll be ready to start up the next episode. And I will release these episodes at least with a day in between. So like if this one comes out tonight or early tomorrow morning, the next one will be the next day. So I say that I'm going to record it tonight. That doesn't mean that both episodes will be available like immediately, but I won't wait long. Like it'll be pretty quick. Once I get rolling on these things, when I record, I just go ahead and get it up there. I was hoping we were going to catch one more fish on float here, but I still haven't put any points in. So on points, I like to put points in making ground bait. I like to put 3 points there. So we've got 4 points available right now. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 points in making ground bait. Because with 3 points, we will almost always make reasonably high quality ground bait. And I'll show you what that translates into next time we make some. you'll kind of see. But it really does help. You feel like you're fishing with pretty high quality ground bait. So we've got 1 point left because we're level 5, right? The other thing I'll put it in is fishing with a feeder rod. Let's be honest, we're going to be doing a lot of bottom fishing. It's not the only thing we'll do, but we're going to be doing a lot of it. This is going to let me cast farther, cast more accurately, and most importantly, it's going to give me a little bit better control of fish, right? So we'll put our last point there. Once we max this out, we might put points in spinning reel. It doesn't give you control of the fish, but we'll use spinning reels across so many different things. Like when we're spin fishing, those points go here as well. They go in both spots. Eventually, if we're float fishing with a bolo rod, which you only have to get to 30% float, so we could get to that, then you'll also use spinning reel there. So it's just kind of worth it. All right, so in 30 minutes, we caught 27 fish, right? 27 fish, and the cafe value is what? The cafe value is what? And yeah, we'll want to start I'll want to start this test. Like if I started it right now, it wouldn't be a fair comparison. You want to kind of do it at the same time of day. It's easiest just to do it for a full hour. Hey, that's 25 silver. That's a good, at this level, 25 silver, half hour. Does that translate to 50 silver per hour? Raw, just straight, fish market, no cafe. It could, although I would expect the other 30 minutes to be slightly less. The nighttime is slow, but they're bigger fish with these kind of fish. The morning is like ideal. Afternoon could stay fairly steady, but it might be a little smaller sizes. But remember, we're not just selling to the fish market. We're going to come over here and we're going to do... All right, so I just sorted this by weight. Let me get myself out of the way here. You've seen enough of me today. We're going to do the two smallest that contribute, that are big enough to do for this cafe order. So that's 8 silver. Then we'll go ahead and do this one. No, we won't. Let's see how much this 1.159 gibble is worth. It's probably worth enough that it's not, we don't want to do the cafe order, but I don't know that for sure. Is there anything else we're even getting close to? The only thing that we might consider is the rough, but it's got a lot of time left. And like I said, we're not really going for rough until... All right, so where's that gibble? It's worth over 3 silver by itself. So everything else we're selling for 22 silver. So we made about 30 silver with the cafe order. It's not bad. Not bad at all. So we are now at 37.9 silver. We're closer than you think to our next feeder rod, and it makes a huge difference to get that second feeder rod down. All right, so what are we looking for? This is what we're saving for the next when we play the next episode. We want 37 silver, so we could afford that now. I'm not going to do it yet. So we need 37.8 plus the reel, which will be another spark, and it really doesn't matter which one. This has a little more room for a little bit more line on the spool. We might splurge that. So that's, basically 48 silver total. We might have line that we could use, but we'll probably want to buy some cheap line. And then about 6 more silver for the feeder cage again and the marker. So let's see if we can eat one more time, which means we should be able to get our free worms at... we also could get... Oh, no, that comes with a pretty crappy reel. Do we want to get the free spinning? Or more worms? How many worms do we have left? We'll eventually be digging them and won't need them. We still have 79. So yeah, let's do that real quick just for diversity here. We'll go back to Cottage Pond. And instead of the free float that you get once every 24 hours, which is what you would normally get, but we'll get the spinning one this time so I can show you what the free spinning one looks like. It's actually a pretty nice reel, except it's so damaged. All right, so hit G for free spinning tackle. Now we go in here, and we got this old spinning rod and this old, pretty decent reel, but it's so damaged that you'll hear the gears grinding as you're using it. But again, it's a reel, and we could use it, and possibly get our second feeder out there a little quicker. So that's something we could play around with next episode. I also kind of want, after we do our 30-minute test, if I'm feeling like it in the next episode, we might spend a little bit of time seeing if we can get those dace going again. But to do that, we'll need to get at least one smaller hook, preferably a 22 or a 24. But if it's a 20, that's still a lot better than what we used before. So like if you go to hooks again, the smallest size would be like these, but they're out of stock on the 24s, and you have to be level 8, which by then we might be, but again, they're out of stock. But that at least would be 22. How much are those? 7.9 silver. It's a lot at this level. Or you could just go with the 20, right, for 3 silver. That's kind of the no-brainer. So anyway, there's a little tease for next episode. Hey, as always, thank you for the support. Welcome to the new leveling guide. Looks like there's a lot of new faces, or I should say new names in our channel. So I think there are a lot of new folks playing. You guys are already a little past this, but there's still some people that are probably going to be picking up this game over the Christmas holidays. And man, I hope this can be helpful. And I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. It's a really special time of the year. So Merry Christmas, you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. See you again very soon. Peace out.